Followers, new class, stay tuned.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ina alhamdulillah, wa salat, wa salam ala wa rasulullah. Welcome everybody to our series entitled The Signs of the Last Hour. Yeah, this is my series on the signs of the last hour. And even though it was some of the new brothers here that got me to teach this series, it's something that needed to be taught, okay? And the reasons why it's needed is because Allah has sent us so many signs of his anger, so many signs as to how we need to really wake up and take a good hard look at ourselves. But it seems as if most of us are not recognizing the signs. As Allah tells us in the Quran, it is only those men of understanding who recognize his signs. And nowadays, most of us Muslims have no understanding of this religion. That's a known fact. For example, the war. This war, Allah predicted this centuries ago. When the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was living, he told the companions, you're going to have witness many wars. This ain't nothing new. My nation will encounter many, many wars until the end of time. He said, but whenever Allah sends war, understand that it comes for several different reasons. But I want you guys to pay attention to my words. When Allah sends war, why is it, guys, that a lot of the Muslims today are not out of control? They can't handle the war that's going on now. They doing all this protesting, and y'all know protesting is haram far as Laila's concerned, because what are you protesting? The qadr of Allah? That's how you can tell who are the people of the Sunnah. The companions didn't protest. This is ignorance. What is there to protest? Did the companions protest the Battle of Badr? Did the companions protest the Uhud? Did the companions protest against the Quraysh? Did the companions protest against the Romans, the Persians, the Vikings? Did the Romans protest against the Tartars? Did the companions? Did the companions protest against any of their battles? No, because the companions had the correct understanding. That understanding that we lost today, as we have divided, as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the last time we talked, we went over those hadiths in this class. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, my nation will divide. They will kill each other. They will hate each other. They will argue with each other. They will all claim to believe in the same thing. They will claim to be fighting for the same thing, but they're not. They're not, because they will have deviated away from my way, my tradition, and the traditions of my companions, and the traditions of the four who came after them as leaders. Protesting? Why would a believer protest a war? War, it comes from Allah. As the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I am the one that sends war. And as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, Allah says not only is he the one that brings about war, but he told us why. He said, I am the one that sends war. And I send war for several reasons. Number one, as a means of cleansing the earth of bad people. Hashtag don't get it twisted. There's a lot of bad people today, not just from the Zionists. I'm going to keep it real. We got some bad Muslims too. Y'all see them coming in here. We got some bad people that call themselves Muslims who don't believe in the qadr of Allah. They don't believe that everything that happens because Allah willed it. They don't believe that everything good and bad comes from Allah. So Allah is cleansing the earth of this corrupt way of thinking. He said the second reason why I send war, not just to cleanse the earth of bad people, but I send war as a means of you being able to recognize who are the believers amongst you and who are the hypocrites amongst you. That's in the Quran. This is in the Quran too. So Allah sent this war. I can see who the hypocrites are. I would never use that title with anyone. But I can look and see at all the people that are protesting. I'm like, wow, man. I didn't know he was like that. Wow, man. I didn't know she was like that. They're protesting against what? Your protesting is not going to stop the qadr of Allah. You think you can change it? Nothing can change the qadr of Allah. This is something He willed. Allah willed that this war would happen like it's been happening. It's not going to stop happening. Okay? What are you protesting? Oh, you're part of the Ashariya. They're the ones that got a problem with the decree. You're Qadariya. They got problems with the qadr of Allah too. Or are you Mu'tazilite? They got a problem too. Even the Kharijites. All these different sets and groups that the Prophet said will formulate. They all have the same one problem that they share in common. They all share the problem of not accepting the qadr, the decree of Allah. So Allah has exposed to us who the hypocrites are by watching and seeing who's participating in this nonsense. What the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did. If you guys learn the hadiths, you would learn the true Islam, and you will learn how did the companions handle war. They never protested. But instead, they left it to the non-Muslims. The non-Muslims protested. Did y'all know that? If you join our classes, you would. Even when the Quraysh boycotted the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's tribe, his entire tribe, as a means of trying to get them to force him to not declare himself a prophet anymore. Did the other companions from the other tribes boycott? No. But the non-Muslims did. Khadija, radiyallahu anha, her brothers went to the Kaaba. They were not Muslim. They went to the Kaaba and they protested by speaking out, letting all the other Arabs that came there to trade and do pilgrimage, let them know what the Quraysh were doing to these people. And when they protested, other non-Muslims joined in and began to protest by speaking out at the Kaaba, letting the other Arabs and other people that came to make Hajj know the atrocities that the Quraysh were afflicting these people to. And that played a role in them breaking that boycott agreement. So if you look at the history of Islam, the companions, the Muslims never protested. Because number one, we understand that Allah is the one that sends war, not the Zionists, not the Quraysh. Allah is the one that sends war. And he told us why. Okay? So what the Muslims did is they sat back and they allowed the non-Muslims to speak out, to protest. And I'm going to tell you why. Another reason why they allowed the non-Muslims to do this is because those companions had intelligence. As the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said one day to one of them in a lecture he was giving, the non-believers don't care about us. As Allah says, they will never accept us. They will never carry a banner in our honor. But what the non-Muslims do respect is their own people. They respect what their own people of integrity, of power, of leadership have to say. So the companions didn't protest the qadr of Allah, but they allowed the kafirs' own people to do that because the power is in that. When the non-believers see that their own people are not in agreement with what they're doing, they're going to back down. Common sense. But we Muslims today don't have any common sense. And I'm sorry, anybody telling you that they're protesting because of Masjid al-Aqsa, that's garbage too. Because again, Allah told us what's going to happen from the beginning of time till the end. Allah has told us, the Prophet Muhammad has told us that the last mosque that will be standing is Al-Aqsa. So what are they protesting? The Prophet told us the mosque in Mecca will be destroyed. The mosque in Medina will be destroyed. Jesus will come back. He will rule from out of Al-Aqsa. That will become the seat of government for the Muslims. So again, what are you protesting? Allah has already told us what he has willed to be. So I'm letting y'all know the people y'all see protesting, they belong to those other sets. They are not upon the understanding of the companions. Because if they had the understanding of the companions, they would trust in Allah and know that Allah speaks the truth without having to say, Sadaqallahu Adin. Okay? So for you young brothers, don't get it twisted. Stop listening to these renegades of Islam and continue to come to my classes to learn Islam and its truthfulness. Okay? There will be wars. There has been wars. These wars are just starting. What's going on right now, do y'all think it's going to stop? Does anyone here really believe that because you Muslims are out there protesting that this is going to stop? No. This is the beginning of the end. And by the way, it's not just Al-Aqsa. Al-Aqsa will be fine. Nothing's going to happen to Masjid al-Aqsa. It will be fine. It's the mosque in Mecca and Medina that will be destroyed, not that mosque. It'll be the last one standing. Mark my words. What's the source? Bukhari and Muslim. Again, Allah sends war so you can see who the true believers are. The true believers, we believe everything. So you're protesting for Masjid al-Aqsa. So you're saying Allah is a liar. You don't believe in Allah. You think the Prophet Muhammad lied when he said right here in this authentic hadith that Masjid al-Aqsa will become the seat of government. That's where Jesus will rule. It'll be the mosque in Mecca and Medina destroyed. Y'all gonna protest that too? You're going to protest the mosque in Mecca and Medina? Do we worship a mosque? Do we worship Masjid al-Aqsa? Do we worship Masjid al-Aqsa? Or do we worship Allah? Y'all see all of this. These are the signs. I want y'all to look. That's why I'm teaching this class. I'm teaching this class on the signs of the last hour. Because the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said, if you live to see these signs, look at them for what they are, signs from Allah, and ask yourself, where do you fit in on the scale? Are you a hypocrite? Are you a corrupt person that the earth needs to be rid of? Or are you a believer who Allah is testing with something better than all of this? Those are the three reasons Allah sends war. The third reason is to test the believers. To test the believers with something better than this world, which is the hereafter. Which category are you? Are you a hypocrite? Or are you a believer being tested with something better? Or are you a corrupt person that the earth needs to rid itself of? You either in one of those three categories. I'm hoping that all of you will be in the last category of the believers who Allah is testing with something better. Don't get it twisted. Hashtag it. Okay? And whoever tells you that because you don't protest, is you a kafir, tell them to bring the dalil. Because none of the prophet's companions protested, so they all kafir too, huh? Yeah, they all kafir, huh? Mm-hmm. By the way, we got some sects and groups that believe that. Mm-hmm. For those people telling you that we protest and worship of Masjid al-Aqsa, tell them, where is that? Where is that? Where does it say we worship Masjid al-Aqsa? When I just told y'all what the prophet said. Masjid al-Aqsa ain't going nowhere. Masjid al-Aqsa is going nowhere. Do you believe what Allah said, or is Allah a liar? Tell him that. It'll be the last one standing. Not the mosque in Mecca, not the mosque in Medina. So tell them that. Where's their dalil? This is the beauty of Islam. Everything in Islam is based on evidence from the Quran and the authentic hadiths. It's not based on anybody's twisted, don't get it twisted opinion. And today for this class, I'm going to prove that war comes from Allah, not from man. And I'm going to prove all these things I'm telling you with some of the hadiths, just a couple of them today, only a couple, of how this is proof that nobody on this planet, not the people in Gaza, and by the way, over there in Gaza, this ain't new for them. They've been dying forever. Seriously, children, women, and men. Like Allah says, the third category is to test the believers with something better than all of this. Those people in Gaza who were living their lives as believers, they passed the test. Allah gave them something better. For those people in Gaza who were hypocrites, you reap what you sow. For those people in Gaza who were corrupt people, you reap what you sow. And you keep it moving. I'm sorry, guys. The truth is not a pretty pill to swallow. You may call me harsh. You may call me rough and tough. But there is no scholar, not a true one, on this planet that's going to say Layla's telling a lie. Layla's is wrong. I'm just quoting what the prophet said. These hadiths are authentic. I'm just quoting him. So I guess he was harsh. Okay? So we're going to go over some of the battles, some of the conquests, because for those of you who don't know, those original companions, they were at war from the time they converted to Islam until their death. The people in Gaza, the people in Africa, nobody on this planet, and this is also what Allah says, nobody on this planet is suffering or has suffered more than those original companions and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ever since Allah appointed him as a prophet and a messenger, he was at war from that moment until his death. When he died on his deathbed, he was at war. Abu Bakr took it up. He was at war up until his death. Umar took it up. He was at war until his death. Ali took it up till his death. Uthman till his death. All the companions, Aisha, radiallahu anha, all the Ibn Abbas, all of them people were fighting in war until their death. Y'all didn't know that. So what's going on in the world today is nothing. And there were women. Do y'all know we got a female companion? The first martyr. Does anyone know who the first martyr of Islam was? As soon as she said, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, she was at war. And y'all want to know how she met her death? They took a pole and stuck it through her vagina and out her brain because she refused to renege on her religion. Now you tell me is being hit by a bomb. A bomb can be a sudden death. The pain is over instantly. Is a bomb worse than somebody holding you down in the ground, sticking a pole in your vagina and pushing it all the way up till it comes out your head? You feel every bit of it. And it wasn't no penicillin back in them days or no marijuana pain pills. Hello. So I may sound harsh, but I only sound harsh to the weak. And if it does sound harsh to you, then that's a sign that you're one of the weak. And I want the weak to understand that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam also said, the strong believer is more beloved by Allah than the weak one. So you Muslims today are going to have to work on strengthening yourselves to be strong believers instead of emotional weaklings. Because that's what I see. A lot of emotional, weak people calling themselves Muslims today. Again, why did Allah send war? So you can see who the weak are. So you can see who the strong are. So you will know who to attach to. Because remember, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam also told us what to do when you live to see these calamities, when you live to see war. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when you live to see war, check yourself. Ask yourself, which one of those categories do you fall in? Hypocrite, a believer, or a corrupt person? And then he said, check your belief. He said, fall upon La ilaha illallah. Make sure that your belief system is correct. And that's why all these classes are going on here at Sunnah Followers. We're trying to help you to check your aqidah, your belief system, to make sure that you Muslims listening to me are in the right belief system. That you're not part of the Ash'ari. That you're not part of the Qadariyah. That you're not part of all these groups. And by the way, you're going to see these groups began during the time of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So let's put the PowerPoint up on the screen. And like I said, it's only going to be 3 hadiths I'm going to go over today. But they're all speaking about the wars when they first started, and how you can see that this is another example of a sign of the last hour that will continue until the end of time. So this sign keeps repeating itself over and over and over. And that's the war against the Muslims, the war against Islam, the war against the Muslims, the war against Islam. So let's put the PowerPoints up. Give me a second here. Yeah. Okay, well, hold on for a minute, brother. Let me go over these 3 hadiths.
No worries, no worries.
Okay. All right. Let me put these hadiths up. All right, I know he's here. Okay. Yeah. Okay, for you guys here, give me a second. I'm gonna let y'all see this. Let me share to the Zoom people first. Zoom. Oh, let me open the PowerPoint first. Okay, here y'all go. It's just 3 hadiths, but they're very powerful. You will see that this is not the first time that the Muslims were under attack. This is not the first time that the non-believers tried to genocide us. The non-believers have been trying to wipe out Islam ever since it spread through the peninsula. As the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, after Islam spread throughout the Arabian Peninsula, that's when Iblis said, well, you know what? I'm going to attack them, cause them to turn on each other. So this ain't nothing new. It's just that each generation.
The wrong one, Sister Layla.
What?
You're in the wrong one.
Oh.
That's why I about.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, hold on, guys. I got the wrong PowerPoint. Oh, that's Kareem. Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid. Hold on. Wrong PowerPoint. Okay. This brother was typing his name. See what happens? I had to kick that brother out of there. Okay, hold on. Here it is. Okay, I apologize, guys. I put the wrong one up because I was kicking out one of them brothers that was in here speaking badly. Okay, this should be the right one. Okay, and then on Zoom, on this one, here we go. Here it is, the focal point. This is the right one, inshallah. Yeah, when Islam spread throughout the peninsula of Arabia, Iblis was so angry because he couldn't stop it. So he said, I will cause them to turn on each other and divide amongst themselves. And that's been happening ever since, too. That's another one of the signs, and it started after that, after Islam spread throughout the entire peninsula of Arabia. Okay, so let's put the PowerPoint up here. Yeah, y'all see it's just 3 slides. So today, and I want to show you guys how Allah is in control. We say we believe in him, but I told you guys, what do all these different sects and groups share in common? All of those deviant sects got a problem with the decree of Allah. They say they believe in him, but they don't believe that Allah is in charge of things. They think that America's in charge. The Zionists are in charge. They think that man creates his own evil, and this is not correct. Not only did Allah tell us through the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam what would happen and about these wars, but he even told us what the focal point of the trials and tribulations will be. That's why I'm telling you what's going on over there in Gaza is nothing new. It ain't new. That's where all the fitna happens. Y'all don't know that? All the trials, all the calamities that will befall this nation will come from that part of the world. Allah told us that. And it's been happening. I'm getting ready to prove it to you. That's why learning these hadiths are important. Because by learning the hadiths, you learn the history of Islam. Now, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us in numerous hadiths the direction from which the winds of tribulation will blow. And you will find this this hadith in Muwatta. Abu Huraira, may Allah be pleased with him, told us the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, pay attention, the head of disbelief is from the direction of the east. Pride and showing off exist amongst the people who have horses and camels. Who is he talking about? My students in Zoom. Who is he talking about? He said disbelief is in the direction of the east. And the people who have horses and camels are the ones filled with pride and showing off. Who are those people he's talking about, guys? Who are those people? Come on, are y'all that numbskull? Who are the people that have horses and camels? Don't nobody on this planet know but me. I'm the only stranger. Yes, don't be afraid to talk. The Arabs is right here, this authentic hadith. The Prophet again said, the head of disbelief. I don't care how much we call ourselves Muslims. A lot of us are just Muslim in name. And here in this hadith, the Prophet is telling us the biggest conglomerate of disbelievers are from the direction of the east, not the west. America is the Western Hemisphere. Australia, the Western. Even the United Kingdom, that ain't the East. The East is that Gulf state. Y'all know what the Gulf is? That's where Saudi Arabia is. That's where Kuwait is. That's where the Emirates are. Oman, Jordan, Syria, Gaza. Oh yeah, let's not get it twisted. Hashtag don't get it twisted. Gaza. All of that is the East. So the Prophet said the head of disbelief is towards the East. And these people are very arrogant. They like to show off. Showing off and arrogance exist amongst the people who have horses and camels. That's the Emirates. That's the Gulf, Bahrain, Kuwait, those rich countries, Saudi Arabia, those rich oil countries of the world. He said, and dignity exists amongst the people who have sheep. What does that mean? What does he mean when he uses the metaphor of the people who has horses and camels and the people who have sheep? The people who have sheep are not the rich. It's not a rich country. It's just a poor country, basically. So that's what the Prophet is saying in this hadith. Now, y'all tell me, look at the world. You want to know how to look at what's going on in the world news today. I don't watch TV. I mean, I do. I watch paranormal. I like Vikings. I like werewolves, vampires, the Vampire Diaries, America's Next Top Model. I watch stuff like that. Naked and Afraid. I don't deal with the news because I don't need the news to tell me what's going on in the world. These hadiths, the Prophet told me what will be happening in the world, and I know what's going on today. So that's why I don't panic. A lot of you Muslims are panicking. This is Allah doing what he said he would do because of the arrogance that we have amongst us. The showing off that exists. It's all about the falus. It's all about the dollar bill. How do the people ride in the Gulf? They ride in their BMWs, and what pets do they have? Can anybody tell me what type of pets do they have in that area? What type of pets do the people in the East walk around with? Can anybody tell me?
Lions.
They have lions and tigers as their pet. Oh, yeah. I'm riding in my car with my lion's head. That's all showing off arrogance. You see this in the East, in Syria, the rich part. Arabia. And even in that part of Israel, what they call Israel today, that part too. Their pets are lions and tigers, man. The prophet said that's the head of disbelief. Also, in another authentic hadith, Ibn Umar, he said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam stood up beside the minbar and he said all the trials and calamities is there where the horn of Shaitan will emerge. And he was pointing towards the direction of Syria. He was pointing towards the direction of Syria, not America. Oh no, not South America. No, not Europe, not Australia. The direction of Syria. And then Aisha, radiallahu anha, said the head of disbelief is there. So you got the biggers like Brother Zaman. Brother Zaman lives over there in that part of the world. Like he sent me that email saying, he said, Layla, don't get it twisted. Don't think that all the people that's dying over here in Gaza were good Muslims. He said, we have some of the best Muslims here, but we got some horrible ones too. He said some of the worst Muslims on this planet are living right here. He said, do you know that there are people who are dying here, but you got Muslims here in Gaza making money off of it. They're taking pictures of the people who died and saying that these are their children and trying to get you Americans to send them money. He said, you got the best of the world here and you got the worst. This hadith of Aisha, what's the source? Bukhari and Muslim is the Dalil. The head of disbelief will always, as the prophet said, it will always come from there, that direction. The worst will always come from that direction. Those people in that direction, Syria, the Gulf area, that whole area, including Gaza. Allah is in control, people, not man. The Asharis, the Qadariyah, all these other sects and groups that oppose the companions, that don't accept the understanding of the companions. Look at your protesters. Also in another hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Oh Allah, bless our Syria. Oh Allah, bless our Yemen." And the people said, "Oh Prophet Muhammad, what about our Najd?" This is where the companions were. That part of Arabia where they were. And the Prophet said, there are earthquakes and there are tribulations, and there the horn of Shaitan will emerge. In other words, the root of all the evil will come from our Najd. That part. Remember the other hadith we went over where the prophet said, the people will come from my land. They will speak my language. They will look like me. And they will be leading you to the gates of hell. These Arabs. So many of you worship the Arabs of Saudi Arabia. Y'all worship them. Y'all take those fatwas over the hadiths. All a person got to tell you is they come from Saudi Arabia and you ready to bow down to them. That's the root. The king over there, oh, he's a shiesty man. We don't rebel against him because the prophet told us when it happens, don't rebel against them. They'll end up destroying themselves. They'll be fighting against each other right before the Mahdi comes. They won't even accept him as the Mahdi. It'll be the people from Uzbekistan that come and accept him as the Mahdi first. Oh yeah, we'll get to that hadith too. That's where that's the leader of all the fitna that will impact this nation from right there. Okay? So let's talk about an-najd. The original meaning of this word is high ground, and it's towards the east. So for whoever is in Medina, his najd is the desert of Iraq and all its surroundings. Let's look at history, guys. Where was Saddam Hussein from? Oh yeah, for those of you who don't know, Saddam Hussein killed more Muslims than any kafir did. What Saddam Hussein did to the people in Kuwait is atrocious. A lot of people are still mentally messed up. So when the people in Medina, when the prophet was talking about our Najd, that's Iraq. The head of the horn of Shaitan. We got Muslims today that pray to Saddam Hussein. Can y'all believe that? We got Muslims today who really believe Saddam Hussein was a good man. When this man did some things that I can dare not tell you about. Okay? So the east is Iraq. Okay? So Iraq is towards the east in relation to Medina. And that's how Ibn Abdullah, Ibn Umar understood it to be. And when the people of Iraq began to commit major sins, Ibn Umar told them, he said, "O people of Iraq, how often do you ask about issues that are not important while you're committing major sins?" I heard my father say that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, all the tribulations will come from there. And that's where the horn of Shaitan will emerge. And the people will kill each other. He's talking about you, Iraq. For those of you who don't know, after the murder of Uthman, those Kharijites, many of the Kharijites were from Iraq. Iraq was originally part of the Persian Empire. When the Muslims defeated the Persians, that's how Iraq became a part of the Muslim lands. And when Ibn Umar was sent there, Salim ibn Umar was sent there as a governor to try to, calm things down there. He said, "You are the people that my father was speaking about. All you do is kill each other. All you do is create fitna. All you do is challenge the governors. All you do is challenge. You even challenge the companions. They considered many of the companions to be kafir." Iraq. Look at what's going on today. Same thing. It was going on back in the time of the companions, and it's going on today. All the fitna of Iraq and Syria. And when you look at the history of our religion, but of course, you will never learn the history until you learn the hadiths like I have. When you look at the history of Islam, you will see that the tribulations that befitted us as a ummah always came from there. So this ain't new. Like I said, the murder of Uthman. Those were the Kharijites, also known as the Haruriya. The Kharijites are still around today. They're the ones that tell you anybody that commits a major sin is a kafir and you deserve to be killed. Most of the terrorist groups, Al-Qaeda, the Hamas too, those groups are the Kharijites. Al-Qaeda, Al-Shabaab, Al-Hamas, Kharijites. Okay? They also played a role in the insurgents that took place in Basra in 255. They also played a role in the fitna that occurred in 278. The Carmathian movement, in fact, emerged from there. And these people committed all kind of atrocities. Also from the east, if you look at our history, is where the Tartars came and the tribulation that continued from them. And by the way, all the trials will continue to come from that direction until the Antichrist. And even the Antichrist, he will come from that direction as well. So this ain't new for you Muslims today who don't know your religion, who are protesting and can't handle the Qadr of Allah. Allah told us all the trials will come from that direction. And if y'all think this war is getting ready to end, it's not. This is the beginning of what will lead to the end. This is the beginning of World War III. This is the beginning of the war against Islam. It started right there in that part of the world. It started with Iraq and it started with Syria and now it's in Gaza. It's going to go all across. Y'all see Allah? Y'all see Allah and his will. Iraq. It wasn't that long ago Saddam Hussein was taken down. It wasn't that long ago we had the war with him in Kuwait. And look at Syria. Y'all see what happened with Syria? That wasn't that long ago. It's still going on. And now it's spreading. It's Gaza. Everything will always begin with that part of the world, guys, the East. And then it will make its way to the West. So if you thinking that your protesting is going to stop what Allah has willed, then you are messed up as a Muslim. This is all his qadr, his decree. You better sit back and do what the Prophet told us to do and check yourself and ask which group you in and work on your belief system. Okay? So those are the 3 hadiths that I wanted to go over with you guys today, because those 3 hadiths say a lot. A lot of you come to me telling me about how people are calling you kafir because you ain't protesting. Let them keep calling you a kafir. That's their problem. What are they protesting? The qadr of Allah? If they truly understood that Allah is in control, then they wouldn't be calling you that. The fact that they're calling you a kafir shows that you hanging around with some shady Muslims. You're hanging around with Muslims who don't believe La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah as they should. We make dua for the believers. That's what the Prophet always did. He taught the companions, you pray for the believers. And then fall upon yourself. Fall upon La ilaha illallah. Make sure you're living up to it. And ask yourself, where are you in this? What role did you play in this? Are you a hypocrite? Are you a corrupt person? Or are you a believer who Allah is getting ready to test with something better? Not all the Gazans are believers. Anyone that believes that, you got a problem. Because like my friend who is Gazan, who lives there, he said, Layla, we got some bad people here in Gaza. He said, you got some of the best Muslims here. He said, but there's a lot of bad Muslims here in Gaza, Layla. A lot of bad ones. They steal, they lie, they cheat. They're capitalizing off the death of other people. So I'm telling y'all, don't get it twisted. Allah speaks the truth. Good and bad everywhere. Part of his plan. Just like in Saudi Arabia. Good and bad everywhere. Just like here in America. Good and bad everywhere. Like I had to teach y'all today. The good guys and the bad guys everywhere. Don't get it twisted. Do what the prophet said. Make dua and check yourself. So I'm going to stop right here. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. And also, guys, when I continue this class on Wednesday, I'm going to give y'all some more hadiths about the different wars. And they all began there and will continue. And how, again, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us what to do and how to behave when Allah does what he says he will do. It comes from him as a result of what we brought on ourselves. And by the way, that's the difference. Somebody just text me, what's the difference when the companions deal with this? I'm going to answer your question, brother. The companions were strong in their faith. They were at war continuously, but they never questioned Allah. They never questioned his decree. They obeyed him and did what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told them to do. They never broke away from the rope of Islam. They didn't divide into groups. They held true to the religion till the death. They were strong. But remember, the prophet said each generation after them will be weaker and weaker and weaker until when the last hour does come, even though the people living on earth at that time will claim to be Muslim, they'll all be kafir. We are the present generation. So what does that mean? We are the weakest in faith. We're nowhere near those companions. We don't have their strength, their faith, their resilience. We don't have their certainty. And Allah sends a test to prove it. We panic. We act like kafirs.